Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. Quick announcement that I study Srimad Bhagavatam course from Mayapur Institute, and my classes are going to start very, very soon. It may affect the timing of our this class. So I will let you know as soon as I know the time for my Srimad Bhagavatam course. I have asked Mayapur Institute to consider an alternative time, but there are devotees attending the classes from across the whole world. So I have no control on it. I can only request. And Mayapur Institute said that they will consider subject to everybody's consideration. So I will let you know as soon as I know more about the day the class happens and the time the class happens, and we'll go from there. Today we will continue chapter 8 from 8.5 onwards. We already discussed 8.5, but in continuation of the discussion for the other verses, we will discuss 8.5 again. And chapter 8 was supposed to be finished this class, but because we are a little running behind, so we will aim to complete some verses of chapter 8 in next class, and we'll also start chapter 9 in our next class. Towards the end of the class today, you are again going to get a seemingly innocuous open-ended question, mind-boggling question, a mandatory question that you all should have fun with. Janisha has some realization she would like to share. Janisha?
Hare Krishna, everyone. Last 2 days back, actually, I had a conversation with Prabhuji that since I am quite behind the course, I'm in my revision class, or I'm still in the second chapter. And 3 weeks ago, I decided that I will be completing my up to the chapter 5 by this month. And I had that goal that I will be completing it anyhow. But somehow I got engaged with my office work. Sometime I got with my family and things like that, and I completely forgot about my this course completing goal. And that feeling of completing the course, actually it was fading day by day. And after 3 weeks, I realized that. I had a goal that I decided that I will be completing. And that day I noticed the thing that how I'm getting, how the Maya is attacking on me. And this was the thing I discussed with Prabhuji. And he also gave me some of the realization on how Maya could be so strong that it can pull us away. So that day I took a vow that I will be quite regular on completing these classes. So yeah, I got the realization that how Maya is so strong that the goal we keep, it can actually fade away within a minute or a second. So that was a quite a realization I had. Thank you, Prabhuji, for guiding me.
Okay,
Hare
very
Krishna.
good. Very good. Yeah. So Maya is very strong. Therefore, I have emphasized again and again the need to listen to class recording. If you miss a class, like listen to class recording as soon as possible and try to provide one striking point and one inquiry from each class, as well as listen to Prabhupada lecture, because these are spiritual endeavors that help you stay connected with Krishna. Plus my spiritual endeavor questions. Even though you may not realize the importance of spiritual endeavor questions, but they are actually directly and indirectly keeping you connected with Krishna and trying to keep Maya away. Prabhupada has said many places, as well as it's there also at the top of Back to Godhead magazine, that wherever there is Krishna, there is no room for Maya, just as wherever there is sunlight, there is no room for darkness. So Janisha had correct realization that she didn't even realize that that she was behind and not even worrying about getting caught up. So only when you get these realizations is when your determination will become strong, just as it has happened for Janisha. So in terms of the spiritual endeavor, there are again those few individuals, few devotees who continue to not do these spiritual endeavors. It's going to become progressively difficult for you if you don't develop the spiritual taste. So I can only say so much. I cannot force you beyond a point. It is for you to realize, to endeavor. Yeah, everybody is coming diligently for 2 hours on the weekend, which is very good. But then we have to also ensure that rest of the time for the 7 days, we somehow need Krishna connection. And that's why I send you Prabhupada lectures to listen to. I give you spiritual endeavors, which make you think. Questions, comments, realizations? And many devotees who have joined Pathway, they are actually endeavoring quite nicely to get caught up on the past recordings. All right. So we'll continue with 8.5 onwards. 8.5 is a key memorization verse. We did recite last time. We'll aim to recite it again. The more we recite, the more easier it becomes to remember. And of course, they are Krishna's words, so we are directly associating with Krishna. So 8.5, I will first recite and then you all can unmute and recite one line after me, please. 8.5. Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yaeti nashti atra samshaya. Everybody unmute and recite one line after me, please. Antakale chamam eva
Antakaale chamameva
smaran muktva kalevaram
smaran mukta kalevaram
ya prayati samad bhavam
ya prayati samad bhavan
yaeti nasti atra samshaya.
yati nasti atasaya.
Samshaya.
Ria,
Yes.
translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. And whoever at the end of his life quit his body, remembering me alone at once, attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
Mm. So we heard from His Grace Chaitanya Chanda's last class, and I will briefly highlight the key points instead of playing his lecture again. So this is answer to Arjuna's question. Arjuna's question being, eighth question being, how to know the absolute truth at the time of death. So in 8.5, first Krishna gives the direct answer. And then in 8.6, Krishna will give a general principle. When we are not able to see something, we want evidence. Otherwise, we will have doubts that what is the guarantee this will happen. Therefore, Krishna is giving confirmation in 8.5, the last line. He says, Yaeti nashti atra samshaya, that there is no doubt that one will attain Krishna if one remembers Krishna at the time of death. So, the second line of the Sanskrit word, smaran muktva kalevaram, is very important. It is smaran. It is not kirtan mukta, it is not just saying Krishna. So we heard from Chaitanya Chandas that if we are thinking of Krishna at the time of death, means we have developed love for him. The moment of death is a very difficult time. It is like 1,000 scorpions biting at the same time. It's a very difficult, and it is almost impossible to think of anything else except what we love the most, or in which we have the greatest shelter. If we have taken shelter of Krishna before death, then at the moment of death, we will of course take shelter of Krishna. And therefore, what is significant is Smaran Muktva. It doesn't say Kirtan Muktva. So we cannot take a shortcut that, okay, now I have found a solution that I am tired of this material world. And I know that if I take a gun, put on my head, and while saying Krishna, I shoot myself, that I will attain Krishna. No, it doesn't work that way. As Chaitanya Chanda said, we cannot cheat Krishna like this. Therefore, the word says Smaran Mukta, remembering Krishna. So even if somebody says Krishna, that on itself does not mean that he's remembering Krishna. And therefore, what we have to do is, we have to, while in this body, while in this life, we have to remember Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout, by doing devotional services, by studying scriptures, by associating with devotees, so that we develop the love for Krishna, we develop the remembrance for Krishna, so that we can remember Krishna at the time of death, as well as this way Krishna can also help us remember Krishna. So yes, the verse says we have to remember Krishna at the time of death, and prominent acharyas in disciplic successions have described that don't try to remember Krishna at the time of death, because death is very difficult. Rather, remember Krishna throughout your life by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by doing devotional services, by studying scriptures. Do this throughout your life. That way, it is possible that you may be able to remember Krishna, as well as, of course, if you do devotional service, then Krishna is going to remember you, as well as Krishna is going to help you remember Krishna. Did any one of you practice that what's the first thing you remember when you wake up? I did ask all of you to practice this. Anybody bold enough to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I tried to recite the Bhagavad Gita shlok.
Okay, very good. The rest of you? So I will tell you my own personal example that many of you have seen me in person recite verses like a parrot, or those of you who have seen the Bhoga offering demonstration, that while I was doing the Bhoga offering, I was reciting verses from Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Sri Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam. Everywhere I'm reciting like a parrot without having the verses in front of me. Now, one time I had to go to a dentist for a simple filling. It wasn't even anything major. It was just a filling job. Now, for that filling, the dentist still had to do a little drilling to clean up. Now, while I was lying on the chair at the dentist, I was memorizing verses. There's nothing else to do. I am just trying to memorize. But as soon as the dentist started to work on my in my mouth and the little drill, and I forgot everything. I could not remember a single verse. Why? Because I was caught up in my bodily consciousness. I have explained that how that the body and soul are riveted together, that because of that pain, or that even the perceived pain, I could not remember a single verse. So just imagine that this was a simple task that the dentist was doing, and I was caught up in that bodily consciousness that I could not remember. And death is like 1,000 scorpions biting, which is significantly more than what the dentist was doing. How am I going to remember verses? It's next to impossible. Therefore, what we have to do, what acharyas have explained, is don't try to remember Krishna at the time of death, because it is very difficult. What we have to do is we have to remember Krishna throughout our life by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by doing devotional services, by studying scriptures or reciting verses, as Ritu correctly pointed out, so that Krishna will remember us and Krishna will help us remember Krishna at the time of death. Any questions, comments, realizations? And therefore, in 8.5 purport, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the full Mahamantra, again and again. Riya, 8.5 purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smaran, remembering, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree. Taror iva sahishnuna. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, so that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness.
Right? So Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout because it is Smaran Muktva. Remembrance is important. Questions, comments, realizations? So I described that last time also, and I'll repeat that. Say for a person about to leave a body or for a devotee about to leave a body, he or she should try to remember Krishna. And you all, as family members or friends, even for even friends, somebody's trying to leave the body, you can create an environment, Krishna conscious environment, that you can read Bhagavad Gita, you can chant Srila Prabhupada Japa, or you can simply chant by yourself, can have the picture of Shri Radha Krishna in front of the person or the devotee who is about to leave the body. I gave a personal example that a family member recently left the body. The family member was in coma in hospital ICU. There was very little anything could do for this devotee. So and in ICU, the hospital would allow the family members to visit twice a day for about 15 minutes each. So the family members would simply read Bhagavad Gita and play Prabhupada Japa or even chant by themselves. That's all. In 15 minutes, what else could you do? Because the hearing, the sense of hearing continues, and it's the absolute last sense that ends in the body. So you just say, even if the person is lying in coma, doesn't matter. The person is still able to hear. And at the moment of death, that's what they hear. Then there is high likelihood for the person to remember Krishna. You can only create an environment. It is still for the person to remember Krishna. You can only facilitate to create that environment for the person leaving the body or the devotee leaving the body to be able to remember Krishna. Everybody try this. That the purpose of chapter 8 is that death is inevitable. So how do we die is what is taught in chapter 8, that we die in remembrance of Krishna, then we will attain Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations? And now in verse number 6, Krishna will give a general principle. Follow me, 6 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes. Just whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
So Krishna is explaining that whatever else you will remember, that's what you will attain. So in 8.5, he explained that if you remember Krishna, then you will attain Krishna. In 8.6, he gives the general principle that whatever else you will remember, that's what you will attain. So I've given the example and I'll repeat that. If a male has attraction for a female, whatever be the relation, mother, spouse, daughter, fantasy, the male will end up getting a female body if the male remembers the female. And similarly, if a female has attraction for the male, whatever be the relation, father, spouse, son, fantasy, and the female remembers that male, then the female will end up getting a male body. There are many factors that determine the next life. This is one of the crux, one of the important factor. Or if you remember your pet, cat, dog, or whatever pet you have, well, that's what you will end up becoming in your next life. So it is very important to remember Krishna and nothing else. So we'll read verse number 6 purport very soon. where the example of Bharat Maharaj is described. That Bharat Maharaj is a pure devotee, a renounced devotee. He had renounced everything, and he was in forest, had renounced everything. In the forest, a mother deer gave birth to a child deer, and the mother deer dies. And Bharat Maharaj felt compassion for the baby deer and ended up taking care of the baby deer, which is a newborn baby deer. And Bharat Maharaj was completely absorbed in taking care of the deer, that he left his body and he was thinking, oh, who's going to take care of the deer? And Bharat Maharaj ended up becoming a deer in his next life. Now, Bharat Maharaj is a special case that in his deer body, in his second life as deer body, he remembered his mistake of his past life, that he was Bharat Maharaj, and he became a deer because he remembered the deer. Now, this is for us to learn, and therefore this example is given. So in the deer body, in the second life as deer body, he remembered his mistake, and in the deer body, the Bharat Maharaj continued to stay close to where the devotees were in the forest and continued to hear Krishna Katha. And then Bharat Maharaj gets a third life, which is Jada Bharat. In that third life also, Jada Bharat remembers both previous lives. That he was Bharat Maharaj, he did a mistake of remembering deer, became a deer, and now he is Jada Bharat, and now he does not want to do this mistake. So in this life, in the third life as Jada Bharat, he lived like a madman. And the king where he was, the king Rahugana, recognized that Jada Bharat is not a madman, he is actually a greatest Vaishnava. So this is all unique and a one-time situation for us to understand this principle, that whatever we will remember at the time of death is what we will attain. So Jada Bharat, of course, then got liberation in the third life because he, of course, remembered Krishna. So this is special case. We cannot think that this will happen with us. We just have to ensure that we remember Krishna so that we attain Krishna in this life itself, not some other life. So let's read verse number 6 purport. Mansi, 6 purport.
Hare Krishna. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Bharat Maharaj, although a great personality, thought of deer at the end of his life, and so in his next life he was transferred into a body of a deer. Although as a deer he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thought during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life create one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always think of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of his life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendentally absorbed in the Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations?
So, Prabhuji, there are two things. Like at a time, if the king Jada Bharat was remembering deer and he took the birth like a deer. In case if people are just remembering about materialistic things, then in that case, what happened? Because deer was a living thing which was coming, living kind of entity which was in his imagination. So when we are thinking about materialistic things while we are at the deathbed, then what happens?
Yeah, materialistic things means, say you are trying to say, I have so and so desire to fulfill. Is that correct, Mega?
Yes, at the time we are thinking what has
Correct.
been done, what is there, what will
Correct.
happen, and all that. So we are focusing on situations more and the
Correct.
things more.
Correct. Yeah, very good question. That you are focusing on situation that, oh, I had so and so desire. Oh, I want to earn money in stock market, blah, blah, blah. Well, you will get a material body, right? So there are many factors that determine uh, your next life. This remembrance is one, spiritual credits is next. There are many other factors, and there are many dimensions that a soul goes through after the soul leaves the body. From the scriptures, we know very few dimensions. We can only focus on trying to remember Krishna throughout our life so that we remember Krishna at the time of death. So if we are remembering materialistic things, not persons, things, for example, I have so and so desire to go to, say, visit so and so place, or earn money, or have a big bungalow, or a lot of cars, or stock market, or whatnot. Well, these are all material desires, means you will get a body to satisfy your most overwhelming desire. A perfect body that will satisfy your most overwhelming desire. So what happens at the time of our next life, that we come in front of Brahmaji, this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, that we come in front of Brahmaji as soul, and Brahmaji is allowed the ability to be omnipotent enough to see our desires. And based on our most overwhelming desire, he matches us, Brahmaji matches us from one of the 8.4 million life forms, and this is how we get the next body. So if somebody has, say, materialistic desire and has enough credits to get a human life, yeah, he will get a human life to satisfy those desires. Or say somebody has desire to travel, well, somebody may say, I want to travel in human life, but generally birds or even butterfly, they travel a lot more. So we have no control on what body we get. It is for Brahmaji to decide. Well, you don't know, but Brahmaji knows that if you have the desire to travel, well, then you may end up becoming a bird or a butterfly or a geese that travels a long distance. So we have no control. Therefore, what we have control on is that in our current life, we try to become as Krishna conscious as possible. And Prabhupada has described in many lectures as well as in Sri Upanishad that even if we don't complete Krishna consciousness in current life, there is a high likelihood that we will potentially get a human form of life in our next life in devotee association so that we can continue Krishna consciousness. In Sri Upanishad, Prabhupada has further described that this law of the last thought, described in 8.5 and 8.6, is a very dangerous situation because most likely we will be ending up in 8.6. That whatever else we'll remember, that's what we'll attain. We are, at least I am not remembering Krishna 24 hours. Therefore, I will not be in 8.5. I will most likely be in 8.6, that whatever else I will remember is what I will attain. Therefore, Prabhupada said in Shishopanishad, this law of the last thought, is generally 8.6, is a very dangerous situation for us. Mega and everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji. In some cases, it is like some natural calamity is there, and somebody loses their body, like they are not prepared for that, or there is some family fight going on, and somebody loses their body. So that situation is being carried on. The sanskars or what was going in your mind is carried on in the next journey. Is that so?
Yeah, you are correct. So we heard from Chandas at our last class, and I repeated today, that whatever during our lifetime, whatever is the biggest shelter for us, that's what we will remember. So if we are having a fight or natural calamity or whatever, and whatever is our greatest shelter throughout our life, that's what we are bound to remember. If we have taken shelter of Krishna, then we will remember Krishna. Otherwise, whatever else is our shelter, that's what we will remember. Megha?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Rest of you? Janisha?
Prabhuji, so there are cases of when somebody is killing someone, the dying person obviously remembers the murderer. So what will happen to that body? Will that body come in the next life as taking of a revenge, or what happens in that kind of situation?
Yeah, karma is very difficult to understand. So we have discussed this in 4.16, 17, 18, that we don't know how karma works. In the entire creation, only Krishna knows. Yes, he remembered a person, means a materialistic person, the person who is about to die, or he will remember whatever is his or her desire, that's what he will attain. So as I said, that there are many dimensions what determine the next life. From scriptures, we know very few dimensions. I've described few of them, that whatever you remember, your spiritual credits, etc. So yes, it's bound to be some next life if he remembers anything else than Krishna. Or even if a devotee is being killed, say by a terrorist, the devotee is bound to remember Krishna if the devotee has throughout his life remembered Krishna. So the devotee is not going to remember the terrorist, because the devotee knows the terrorist is just an instrument. The devotee is bound to remember Krishna. So it's more about what the dying person remembers at the time of death. That's what is explained in 8.5 and 8.6. Janisha?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
So since rest of you don't have a question, I have a question for you all. So from start, we have said that we have to develop compassion. And here Bharat Maharaj developed a compassion for the deer baby, and he ends up becoming a deer. So do we have to have compassion or not? Everybody, is that a valid question? How is it fair for Bharat Maharaj? Everybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. What happened?
Yeah, Prabhu. So, devotee must have compassion, but at the same time, we should detach ourselves from the material things. Yes.
Okay. But here I'm trying to be devil's advocate. Very good response. I'm trying to be devil's advocate. Bharat Maharaj was compassionate and he ended up becoming a deer. Do we really need to be compassionate? Rest of you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I think devotees should be should show the compassion towards other jivas, but because that's the quality of a devotee. But he should not like get detached to that particular thing or
All right.
jiva.
Okay, very good. Rest of you? Is that a valid
Hare,
question? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, go
A
ahead.
devotee should be compassionate, but he should not expect any result of his action, and he should be detached from material things.
Okay. Chanda?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes, devotee should be, or anybody, devotee or not, compassion is, I think, the quality of our heart. And but with this, it's not good to sway away with the compassion, like not to flow too much with it.
All right, Mansi, Monarch.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I just had a thought, like in the second chapter, Krishna Bhagwan told Arjuna to be not attached to that person's or relative's body. Yeah, the one should be compassion. One should show the compassion to that soul, not the body.
All right, Sama.
I think compassion is not wrong because it's a really good quality to have. But in case of Bharat Maharaj, more than compassion, I think it was attachment, and it took him like away from Krishna. That's why he got a deer body later.
Okay, very good. Very good. So let me answer that you all are correct that we definitely need to have compassion, and you all those who answered, we definitely don't have to become attached. So what happened with Bharat Maharaj is that he was so absorbed in taking care of the deer that Bharat Maharaj started slacking on his sadhana. So sadhana is important. So because Bharat Maharaj started slacking on his sadhana is why he fell down from his elevated stage and became a deer because he remembered deer. So that's an important learning for us that yes, we need to have compassion, but we should not become so attached to the material task that we started slacking on our sadhana, because without sadhana, we cannot progress. Therefore, devotees, what they do is they do their sadhana first thing in the morning. That if it so happens that they have to leave the body on that particular day, so at least the sadhana for that day is completed. Therefore, many devotees, they try to do their sadhana such as chanting of 16 rounds first thing in the morning. So that sadhana is done. So then it cannot be that, oh, you didn't complete your sadhana for today, therefore you cannot enter the spiritual world. I mean, we don't have to be very rigid. Yes, if you can do the sadhana early morning, it's definitely possible, but we have to also ensure time, place, and circumstance that we don't um, try to be so rigid that the sadhana is negatively impacting us. Yeah, we have to ensure that we keep the body and the soul together so that we can swim through the material world ocean as well as attain the spiritual. Questions, comments, realizations? So, Chandar?
Prabhuji, this is like sometime we get caught up by the compassion too much, and coming back to ourselves at that moment, what is best for us?
So
my question is,
yeah, compassion is required. You just don't have to get attached. Understand in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13 should be verse 46 plus minus one verse. Shri Narad Muni says that we all are under the stringent grip of Kala, Karma, and Guna. How can we protect others? It's not possible. Yeah, help. I'm not saying don't help. No, help everybody and anybody. If you have the ability to help, have compassion for everyone. Just don't get attached to the results and just don't get attached to whosoever you are helping. Continue to focus on your sadhana. Continue to focus that you are a soul and continue to also focus that the other person you are helping is also a soul. You don't have to drop your sadhana. Chandra?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, so 8.7 is a very, very important verse, is the practice verse. We'll hear from Chaitanya Chandas on this. So 8.7 is how we are supposed to live in this world. Even though 8.7 is not a key memorization verse, obviously it's such an important verse that we should all try to recite and memorize 8.7 also. Would you all like to recite 8.7?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So
Yes.
8.7 is pre-action meditation, and the related verse is 3.30. We'll read both these verses. 3.30 is post-action meditation. So in 3.30, Krishna has said, do your karma and offer results to Krishna. In 8.7, Krishna is taking all of us to the next step. That 8.7 says, remember Krishna before you do any activity. Remember Krishna while you do any activity. This way, your mind, your intelligence, as well as all the work that you do in the material world automatically gets offered to Krishna. So let me recite 8.7, and then you can unmute and recite one line after me, please. 8.7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmaram yuddhacha mai arpita mano buddhir mam eva shiya samshaya. Everybody unmute yourself and recite one line after me, please. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu
Tasmat sarveshu
Sarveshu
kaleshu
kaleshu
mamanusmaram yuddhacha
Ma
Vaishnaram
amanusmara
Yuddhacha
mai arpita mano buddhir
Maya
Mai Arpita Mano
Arpita Mano
Buddhe
Buddhir
mam eva shiya samshaya.
Ma
Mameshiyashi
samshaya.
Samshaya.
Chandar, 8.7 translation and then 3.30 translation.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. And 13.
3.30.
3.30.
Yeah. Chapter 3, verse number 30.
Chapter 3, verse 30. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your work onto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claim to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight.
So 3.30 is post-action meditation, that you are doing your work and then offering the results. Now 8.7 is progression. You are remembering Krishna before doing the activity. So 8.7 is pre-action meditation. So I'm going to play Chitrachanda's lecture here. Take lots of notes, and each statement of Chitrachanda's is heavy statement and very, very important statements. So let's hear from Chitrachandas and we'll come back and discuss these points.
Then, now what is the solution? We have to remember Krishna at the time of that. How will we remember? For that, we have to remember throughout our life. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mahamanusmara yuddhacha maya arpitamano buddhir mahame vaishyasya samshayaha. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, at all times, O Arjuna, mamanusmara yudhyacha. Remember me and fight. So now actually there is a progression, a deepening of the devotion. In 3.30, Krishna had said that you do your work and offer the fruits to me. So that means the offering comes after doing the work. But here Krishna is saying, in 3.30 he says that actually you offer the work to me, offer the fruits of your work to me. But here he is saying that first you think of me and then do your work. So it's not just a post-action offering, it's a pre-action meditation, pre-action connection. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. So why do we remember Krishna? Not just that he is the fruit of my offering. Actually, he is the Lord of my heart. He is my be-all and end-all. Everything that I do is for him, and even the Yudhya. Yudhya here, for Arjuna, his prescribed duty is fighting. For different people, their prescribed duty may be different. Whatever the prescribed duty, we do that. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. So in this way, when we offer ourselves entirely to Krishna, and we also do a prescribed duty, then naturally our prescribed duty will also be directed towards Krishna. Maya arpitamano buddhir. So Krishna says, if you keep remembering me, then what will happen? Not only is your work offered to me, but also your subtle body becomes offered to me. Mai arpita mano buddhir. The mind and the intelligence are offered to you, and when will be offered to me. And then if you do this, that means throughout your life you are actually living to develop love for Krishna. And when we are living to develop love for Krishna, we are living for Krishna, then naturally we have the opportunity for pleasures, but we turn away from those opportunities and focus on Krishna. Eventually we will attain Krishna. Mame vaishyasya asamshayah. So Srila Prabhupada explained the purport that this instruction is very important for all men engaged in material activities. So which is all of us are engaged in material activities. But while being engaged in material activities, if we can remember Krishna, and how can we remember Krishna? For that our sadhana is very important. It's not that if we don't do any sadhana, just while doing our work, all day we are doing work or staying with family and doing other material activities, suddenly we'll think of Krishna. No. Actually, we have to give exclusive time for quality connection with Krishna. And then when Krishna is in the foreground of our consciousness at that time, through our prayer, through our meditation, through our scriptural study, through our deity worship, through our devotee association, through our going to pilgrimages occasionally, going to the temples regularly, then by that, Krishna, at least during these times, Krishna is the foreground of our consciousness. Then when we are doing worldly activities, maybe the worldly activities have to be in the foreground of our consciousness, but Krishna will at least be in the background. But if we are, of all the time we are just doing worldly activities, and worldly activities are simply in the foreground of our consciousness, then Krishna will not even be in the background. Just be out of the ground only. And that is not of much use for us. So we want to remember Krishna constantly. At least for some time we should remember Krishna primarily, if not exclusively. And by that practice, we'll be able to remember Krishna constantly. And then Krishna again reassures Arjuna, asamshaya. So two successive verses with just one verse in between. In 8.5 Krishna says there's no doubt about this, and again 8.7, asamshaya. So this is Krishna reassuring Arjuna, guaranteeing Arjuna that if you do this, you will come back to me. And that's what Srila Prabhupada told us. If we follow the process of Krishna consciousness has given us lifelong, even if we have many disqualifications, even if we have many conditionings, it doesn't matter. We will all be able to return back to Krishna by faithfully adhering to the process that he has given us. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, what did he explain? Quickly, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
If we want to return to Lord Krishna, we should constantly remember him.
Okay, very good. Rest of you?
Hare Krishna
We
Prabhu.
need to.
Monarch Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhu explained the two things that Bhagavad Gita 3.30 explained that Krishna is asking Arjuna to offer the fruits of the action, and here in Bhagavad Gita 8.7 he's asking Arjuna that first you think of me and then do your work. So the conclusion is like, if we are how can we do that? So if we are let's say remembering Krishna at one particular time, and then if we are doing our material duty without remembering him, then the thing is Krishna is in the background. But if we are thinking Krishna all the time, then in reality our prescribed duty is like towards the Krishna.
Yeah, very good. Pratyush Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So he mentioned the importance of sadhana. So start the day off with a particular allotted time towards Krishna to make sure that you establish the foundation of that direct connection, so that Krishna always stays in the background, no matter whatever material activities you engage throughout the rest of your day. If you start the day off with sadhana, then you make sure that you keep that connection with Krishna alive.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, when you do your sadhana early morning, then your work also becomes devotional. Very good. Megha.
Yes, Prabhuji is saying that if we give exclusive quality time to Sri Krishna, then Krishna is in background primarily, if not exclusively, along with all the worldly activities.
Yeah. So Megha, Chitrachanda has also answered your point about worldly duties. So if you are only doing worldly duties, well, then Krishna will not even be there in the background. Right. So we have to remember Krishna upfront qualitatively at least some portion of the day. So at least Krishna is there in the background. Megha, does that help you further?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. So I've given you a lot of practical points on how to remember Krishna 24 hours. I gave a long laundry list at our last class. I'm not going to repeat here right now. I've given you how to make your 24-hour day Krishna conscious by trying to correlate with verses and with pastimes and qualities and remembering Krishna. So those of you who are from Toronto and around area who come for services with me, as well as those doing services other time, and I had asked you all to memorize verses. What was the challenge when we were memorizing verses while doing services?
We used to forget and used to cut the vegetables, and
Yeah,
you keep on telling us that remember the verse, remember the verse.
Yeah, you forget, right? The rest of you, were you in the same place? Did you had the same problem of forgetting?
Yes, Prabhu, always.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And therefore, in 8.8, Krishna says Abhyas, and we'll hear from Prabhupada about on this 8.8 verse that we have to practice. Padma Kumar Prabhu, 8.8 translation. Padma Kumar Prabhu. Pratyush Prabhu, 8.8 translation.
He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Parth, is sure to reach me.
So by engaging in practice of yoga, the purpose of abhyas is that let my mind and intelligence not be deviated, not go anywhere else. If one can do these items, that you practice yoga and you not let your mind and intelligence wander, the result will be one will attain the Supreme Purusha. Therefore, practice is important. And one will attain steady contemplation, steady, constant thinking of Krishna. So here Krishna is again reassuring that by constant contemplation of Krishna, one will attain Krishna by keeping his consciousness focused on Krishna. So therefore, abhyas means practice. So let's hear from our dear Srila Prabhupada on exactly what he's saying for this point about abhyas and the ability to remember Krishna at the time of death. Again, it's a very short, take notes and we'll come to discuss this.
If we practice the chanting of Hare Krishna name, then there is chance of chanting Hare Krishna at the time of death. That is the examination. In Bengali, there is a proverb, bhajan karo, sadhan karo, motte janle hoy. And how you are becoming Krishna conscious, that will be tasted at your time of death. That is what. If we practice throughout whole life, Hare Krishna, then there is good chance of chanting Hare Krishna, because at the time of death, everything becomes disorder.
Okay, what did Prabhupada explain?
If we practice to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then only there is some chance that at the time of death we can remember Krishna.
Very good. Priya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the same thing. If only if we practice chanting throughout our life, we'll at least have a little chance to remember. We remember to chant during our death.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
Usually at the time of death, our life becomes so much disordered that we are not in a position to remember if throughout the life we haven't chanted.
Very good. And therefore, for 8.5, Acharyas have explained, don't try to remember Krishna at the time of death, because death is very difficult. It is disordered. Rather than trying to remember Krishna at the time of death, try to remember Krishna throughout your life. Then Krishna will remember you. Very good. Chandar?
Prabhuji, I have a question. Like doing japa 24 hours or in the morning, or keeping in the back of our mind, isn't that a karma yoga? Too much of karma yoga?
So japa is not karma yoga. Japa is your devotional activity. Your point is about that how can some do japa 24 hours?
Right.
So the point that we have heard from Chaitra Chandas and what we have discussed throughout is that we have to dovetail. What you do is, in the morning, do your japa, you have established a connection with Krishna. Then when you are doing your day-to-day worldly duties, you are at least having Krishna in the background, and you are trying to do your day-to-day material world duty in a manner which is devotional, in a manner that you are trying to dovetail in Krishna consciousness. I gave a simple example that when you are driving, it's a pure material activity. But if you remember or correlate the number plate in front of you, the car number plate in front of you or on your side, with Bhagavad Gita verses, then you are dovetailing your driving as Krishna conscious. Or say when you are taking shower, what are you doing? Nothing. It's a waste of time. If you memorize verses while taking shower, your shower becomes Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means to remember Krishna. So I have given a lot of practical examples at our last class on how to make 24-hour day Krishna conscious. And japa, say generally 16 rounds takes about 2 hours. Other times you can read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, you can listen to Prabhupada lectures, and rest of the time you are dovetailing by all the practical examples that I gave to remember Krishna throughout the day. That's how it becomes Manusmaram Yuddhacha, that you are remembering Krishna while doing your worldly duties, and the result will be Mai Arpita Manobuttir, 8.7 that Krishna says. Chandar?
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
All right. So essentially, chapter 8, the Arjuna's questions that get answered till 8.8 verse. Elaboration of those questions in terms of remembering Krishna continues for rest of the chapter 8. Rest of chapter 8 is a little bit straightforward as compared to what we have discussed so far in terms of spending more time. So rest of the chapter 8 will run a little faster. So let's continue discussing and reading the verses. So now from verse number 9 is section 3. Verse 9 to 13 is section 3. Title is Remembrance by Yoga Mishra Bhakti. That those who are practicing Ashtanga Yoga plus incorporating Bhakti, they can also attain the absolute. It's a Mishra, means mixed. It's mixed Bhakti. So yogis on the paths other than Bhakti Yoga, they may also fix their mind on Krishna, but their objective may not be Krishna. Their objective may be either Brahman effulgence or Vaikuntha or even wanting some siddhis. But at least they can achieve some perfection. But it still is mixed and the result will not be highest. Samma, verse number 9 translation.
One who meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is inconceivable beyond all material conception, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond his material nature.
So here yogis are meditating on the Supreme Lord by contemplating on his attributes. So these attributes can be contemplated by devotees also. And yogis turn inwards and meditate. So from here, Ashtanga Yoga is being again described, what we have already discussed in chapter 6. And soon Krishna will come to the conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is easier process. And that's why he's doing a comparison here. So let's read the purport. Samma, middle of the purport, it starts as the Supreme.
Middle. Okay. As the Supreme, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as the Supersoul. Although so small, he is still all pervading and is maintaining everything. By him, all these planetary systems are sustained. We often wonder how these big planets are floating in the air. It is stated here that the Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, is sustaining all these big planets and systems of the galaxies. The word Asynthia, inconceivable, is very significant in this connection. God's energy is beyond our conception, beyond our thinking jurisdiction, and therefore called inconceivable. Who can argue this point? He pervades this material world and yet is beyond it. We cannot comprehend even this material world, which is insignificant compared to the spiritual world. So, how can we comprehend what is beyond? Asynthia means that which is beyond this material world, that which our argument, logic, and philosophical speculation cannot touch, that which is inconceivable. Therefore, intelligent persons avoiding useless argument and speculation should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to understanding.
Last line, Prabhupada makes a very strong statement. First, we cannot comprehend even this material world where we live. And this material world is insignificant compared to spiritual world. And spiritual world we have not seen. Well, if we cannot comprehend the material world, how can we comprehend what is beyond the material world? Therefore, the last line, Prabhupada makes a very heavy statement. I'll read the last line. Prabhupada says, therefore, intelligent persons avoiding useless argument and speculation should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to the understanding. So what Prabhupada is saying is, first accept the scriptures. Second, follow the principles. This will lead to the understanding and purification. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Verse number 10, Parth Prabhu, translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Text 10. One who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So at the time of death, one keeps the mind undeviated with bhakti and by the strength of yoga. One fixes the prana, means the life air, between the eyebrows. Such a person will attain the Supreme Person. So this is, of course, Ashtanga Yoga. And Krishna will continue this Ashtanga Yoga process discussion in the next 3 verses. So in 8.7, Krishna is saying, do your prescribed duties and remember Krishna. So Krishna is giving 2 paths. So here Krishna is doing a comparison. I already described this. So what Krishna is doing is, the 2 paths he is explaining is, you have 2 paths to remember Krishna. One is the path of Ashtanga Yoga, which is the Yoga Mishra Bhakti. And the second is the path of Kevala Bhakti, means Shuddha Bhakti. So by this comparison, Krishna will come to the conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is easier. We'll soon read the next few verses where it will be like, no, I cannot follow all these Ashtanga Yoga and other yoga processes because it's difficult. And specifically in Kali Yuga, my mind is so disturbed. It's impossible to control the mind. Arjuna has said, it's easier to control the wind than the mind. So this comparison is so that we can judge and come to the right conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is easier process. Now, what is this point about the prana or a life air to be situated between eyebrows? So prana is where the soul floats in the body. So prana is the life air in the body. There are different kinds of life air. We won't get into the technical detail. And the soul floats on this prana within the body. Now, if the prana is in the lower part of the body, and the soul departs from the lower holes of the body, then the soul will attain lower planets and lower species. And as the prana moves upwards, our consciousness is getting elevated. When the prana is in lower, the consciousness is also lower. As the prana is getting pushed upwards in the body by the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, the consciousness is also getting elevated and the yogis is considered to be elevated. And if the soul exits the body through the upper holes of the body, so we have discussed in chapter 5, we have 9 gates in the body. And if the soul exits from the upper holes of the body, means the soul is going to attain at least higher destination. not the lower. If the soul exists from the lower holes of the body, then obviously the soul will attain lower species and lower planets. So the process of Ashtanga Yoga is to lift the prana up as much as possible to the top part of the body so that the soul exits from the upper holes of the body. And Krishna will say at the end of chapter 8 that one who is practicing Bhakti Yoga does not have to bother on all these technical things about Ashtanga Yoga. We'll soon cover in chapter 8, verse 24 to 27 about these points. Questions, comments, realizations? So in verses 11, 12, and 13, Krishna will describe this Ashtanga Yoga process in little more detail, which we have already discussed in chapter 6. Here he is trying to do a comparison and just refreshing our memory. Chaitanya Prabhu, 11 translation.
Hare Krishna. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Hare Krishna.
So when one has these preliminary qualifications, then one can practice yoga and attain perfection. The preliminary qualification being practice brahmacharya, celibacy, chant Om, be renounced, be free from attachment. These are all preliminary qualifications that one has to do. This is the yoga process. So in 8.10 he says by the strength of yoga, means yoga balena, and Krishna is now describing in 11, 12, 13 that yoga process, which is Ashtanga Yoga, to elevate so that mind is not deviated at the time of death to attain the Supreme Person. Any one of you able to do any one of these things? Silence speaks for itself. There are more things to come. It's not one of the things you have to do. You have to do all of these things. All right. Deepa, 12 translation.
Prabhuji, I'm not able to read. I have a bad cold.
Dhara, 12 translation.
Hare Krishna. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Hare Krishna.
So if items in verse number 11 were not enough, 12 has even more items that we have discussed, that soul interacts with the external world through the senses. Senses are the doors for the soul. Therefore, one brings the dwara, the door or the senses, under control. So here Krishna is talking about pratyahar stage. We have discussed pratyahar stage in 6.25. So that Ashtanga Yoga has eightfold yoga system of yama, niyam, asana, and the pratyahar is the fifth stage where you shut off your senses. So yama, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyana, dharana, samadhi. So from this 8th stage of Ashtanga Yoga, the 5th stage of pratyahar, which we discussed in 6.25, is also described here. So let's summarize what Krishna has explained as the steps. So first you shut out the senses, you close externals. Second, you fix the mind on the heart. Then you raise the prana all the way to the top part of your body. And one becomes situated in yoga in this way. And then he leaves the body and then he will attain. So after one does all these summary steps that I described, which Krishna has described in the few previous verses, the result is described in 8.13. Megha, 8.13 translation.
Eight point 13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
So if you remember from your yoga ladder, somebody is following Ashtanga Yoga and then has to add Bhakti. That's the process described here, that after you are situated in yoga, as described above, of following brahmacharya, celibacy, renounced, you bring your life to the top and then you add Bhakti to remember Krishna. And when you leave the body in this way, you will attain the supreme destination. So this clearly states that Bhakti has to be there along with the process of yoga. So on your yoga ladder, you had multiple options for Ashtanga Yoga. If somebody stops at Ashtanga Yoga without Bhakti, well, then he will attain Paramatma realization or Brahman effulgence or Siddhis, whatever he's desiring. And then you also had another step that after Ashtanga Yoga, if somebody is adding Bhakti means to remember Krishna. Then even through Ashtanga Yoga plus Bhakti, he can attain Bhagwan realization. But of course, this is a difficult process. When I asked any one of you can do any one of it, I got silence. So Bhakti essentially means fixing the mind on Bhagwan. But this is a difficult process. And soon Krishna will come to the comparison of Bhakti Yoga on itself to remember Krishna as an easier option. So we discuss in 8.5, Antakale Chamamivam, to remember Krishna at the time of death. So one process is, one can do all these steps that we discussed in verse number 10, 11, 12, 13, that you follow brahmacharya, you follow celibacy, you chant Om, you be renounced, you be free from attachment, you shut off your senses, you fix your mind on the heart, you raise your prana or the life air, and you also remember Krishna. Any one of you able to do any one of these steps? Well, Ashtanga Yogi has to do all these steps. Obviously, you can remember this is a difficult process. So let's read the purport quickly. Megha, 8.13 purport.
It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are not different. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets, according to the mode of his practice. The devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. For the personalist, there are also innumerable other planets known as Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti.
So, questions, comments, realizations on the yoga process?
Prabhuji, if we have to understand these two words in a layman language, how can we understand personalist and impersonalist?
Yeah, personalist means one who knows Krishna is a person and understands and recognizes Krishna as a person. Versus impersonalist means Brahman effulgence, that there is no activity. It's not a person. It's just a spiritual level, which is impersonal. There is no activity that is impersonal. Megha?
Okay. And our focus should always be on being a personalist.
You are correct. So Brahman effulgence is spiritual reality, but it's the lowest of spiritual reality. We have to attain the highest reality, which is Bhagwan realization, which is possible only by remembering the personal form of Krishna, by remembering Krishna and by doing devotional service to the person Krishna. Megha?
Okay, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, Goloka Vrindavan is same as Vrindavan. It is only being marked here as Krishna planet, or is it something else?
Yeah, so the Vrindavan in the material world is a replica of Goloka Vrindavan in terms of spirituality. I mean, there are material things also in Vrindavan here in India. But the name Vrindavan comes from Goloka Vrindavan, that Krishna came. So the name also came here together with him. And he also brought all his paraphernalia together with him. So it's the same as Goloka Vrindavan in terms of spirituality.
Okay. And the mode of his practice, actually, what does that means? Like according to the mode of his practice?
Yeah, so depends on what mode you are practicing. If you are practicing Gyan Yoga, that mode, then you will attain Brahman effulgence. If your mode of practice is Ashtanga Yoga only, then you will attain Paramatma realization. If you are practicing just in the mode of goodness, you can attain Brahman effulgence at the best. If you are practicing Bhakti Yoga, then you will attain the highest Bhagwan realization, although you have the option of going to the lower realizations of Brahman effulgence or Paramatma. But why would anybody go to the lower? You will anyway go to the highest. And even while practicing Bhakti Yoga, you have two moods. If you are in the mood of awe and reverence, all those pure devotees in the mood of awe and reverence, they will attain Vaikuntha planets. And all pure devotees in the mood of love, they will attain Goloko Vrindavan. So I've described all of this on our yoga ladder, but I have briefly summarized here. Megha?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Mansi,
And
Mama?
okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, here it is mentioned that the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. So, Prabhu, is it directly or indirectly?
Either way, it contains Om.
Okay, Prabhu.
Pratyush, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, that was my question, because this particular line, it says the impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. So what does it mean exactly?
So Hare Krishna includes everything. So just as say you have $10. So $10 includes $1, right? So Bhagwan realization is the highest. When you attain Bhagwan realization, the lower are included in there. But if you attain the lower, then higher is not included. So Brahman effulgence, there is only Sat aspect. Paramatma realization, you have Sat and Chit. You are only getting a portion of spiritual realization. In Bhagwan realization, you have Sat, Chit, Ananda. So the Sat and Chit of Brahman effulgence and Paramatma realization are included in Bhagwan realization. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra includes everything, even if it is impersonal. Therefore, it says that impersonal is included directly or indirectly, whichever way you want to consider. Pratyush, Prabhu?
Yes, it clears it up. Thank you.
Chandar?
So, Prabhuji, when we talk about this Golok, Vrindavan Dham, and Vaikuntha and Brahmajyoti, when we chant this Hare Krishna mantra and like how it connects to these three different planets differently.
So if you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that Srimati Radharani, Shri Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. So if you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are not going to Brahman effulgence. Although you have the option, but you are not going to Brahman effulgence, or that is not your goal, because there is no activity at Brahman effulgence. If you are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, your goal is to become a pure devotee, and depending on your rasa, you will either attain Vaikuntha or Goloko Vrindavan. Chandar?
Yes, Prabhuji, but I still like, as we know that Krishna is like a tattva, right? And Radha Rani is like a rasa. So we need both, right? We need logical and
So Krishna is not just a tattva, Krishna is a person. And Srimati Radharani is also a spiritual person. Right? So yes, we do devotional services under Srimati Radharani, but it's not just a tattva. Krishna is a person we are trying to connect to. Chandar?
So my question is, I mean, it's not clear to me in my head yet. When we aim for Golok Vrindavan Dham, how it can be we go there?
So
By japa, by japa.
Yeah, so when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and you get purified, when you leave the body, instead of Yamadutas from Yamraj's place coming to get the soul, it will be Vishnu Dutas from spiritual world who will come to take the soul and direct the soul on the path to Vaikunta. So I will show you a visual here. This is from Dhruv Maharaj. So Dhruv Maharaj is a pure devotee. So this person is a pure devotee. And these two individuals which look like Krishna, but they are not Krishna. They are residents of Vaikunta Loka. They have come on a swan-like plane from Vaikunta to take Dhruv Maharaj to the Vaikunta planets. Similarly, I'll show you another visual that this is Ajamil. Ajamil was sinful, but he had chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and Ajamil called out for his son Narayan at the time of leaving the body. So because he was sinful, the Yamadutas came to drag Ajamil's soul. But then the Vishnu Dutas in the blue and with the four-handed forms, they came and fought with Yamaduta saying, no, he has chanted Narayan's name. He is qualified to go back to Vaikunta. So your point, Chandar, how does it happen? You can see it's in the visual that Ajamil's soul is being dragged out from the body. And depending on what you have done in this current life, depends your destination. Chandar?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. It makes sense.
Very good. Megha has a question in the chat that it is mentioned one of the spiritual planet. What planets are spiritual planets? So visual is coming up in our upcoming classes. Well, I will show you the entire creation all the way from the top of Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan has a lot of planets. Vaikunta planet has also a lot of planets, then Brahman effulgence, then material world. Those visuals are coming up. There are Vaikunta, there are many planets. Goloko, there are many planets. That's what is being referred to as spiritual planet. Now, also another, Megha, does that answer that question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Megha has another question that God is formless. So that is incorrect. God has form. So your question itself starting is incorrect, but let me read. God is formless beyond our perception and thought because the idea of Krishna being a person, we all will have different perceptions or visuals in mind. How should we understand? So understand that Krishna is a person. Krishna is not formless. Krishna has his original two-handed Shyam Sundar form in Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna has many forms. And he is not formless. He is actually a person, exactly like how we are. We have the human form of body because Krishna has a human body, human-like body. Krishna does not have a human body based on us. No, it's the other way around, that we have a human form of body which is based on Krishna's human like body, that Krishna also has two-handed form, Shyam Sundar form. Megha?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
All right. So we'll continue. So in this section, In verse 9 to 13, Krishna has described one way of how one can remember Krishna at the time of death. Means the process of yoga mishra bhakti, which was Ashtanga yoga, and you do all these pre-qualifications and try to remember Krishna. Now this was difficult. In this next section, Krishna will describe the alternative way of how one can remember Krishna at the time of death, meaning the alternative way of process of devotional service. So section 4 is verses 14 and 15. Remembrance by Shuddha Bhakti. Raksha 14 translation.
Hare Krishna. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion
14.
never return to this temporary.
14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you read 15 by your because of your default misery nature, that is 8.15, but I want you to read 8.14.
Yes, Guruji. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service.
So constantly remember Krishna, then Krishna says, I am easily attainable to such a devotee who is always engaged in devotional service. So 8.14 is the only verse in Bhagavad Gita that uses the word sulabha, means very easy to achieve, which indicates that the process of devotional service, or process of bhakti yoga, is easier process compared to other processes. So this is very significant. There is no scope of misinterpretation of this verse. It clearly refers to bhakti yoga. So under the previous set of verses from 10, 11, 12, 13, the Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Krishna has said one has to practice brahmacharya, celibacy, renounced, bring your prana to the top, all these other processes, be free from attachment, know Vedas, chant Om. In this way, you practice spiritual life seriously. In contrast, in 8.14, Krishna is saying, all one has to do is to remember Krishna. Therefore, it is Sulabha. Therefore, the process of Bhakti Yoga is the easier process to attain the same goal of remembering Krishna at the time of death. So Krishna can be attained through the easier process of Bhakti Yoga, which can be undeviated and undistracted. So the implication of this verse is that Bhakti Yoga is far more preferable than Ashtanga Yoga. Do all of you agree with this word, anyway, this statement, that Bhakti Yoga is far more preferable than Ashtanga Yoga? Everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So the path of Ashtanga Yoga is demanding and grueling. Bhakti Yoga process is faster and easier. So the conclusion is Bhakti Yoga clearly rejects all other paths and puts the path of Bhakti Yoga with a crown as the topmost path. So I have a question. Go back to Arjuna's question in 6.33 and 34. Arjuna's question was that Ashtanga Yoga seems impractical because one cannot control the mind. It is easier to control the wind. So question is, did Krishna reject Ashtanga Yoga process or did Krishna endorse Ashtanga Yoga process? When Arjuna asked the question in 6.33 and 34, everybody quickly. Yes, no, silence, somebody. Did Krishna?
Krishna gives the alternate way to going towards Bhakti Yoga.
Okay. Pratyush Prabhu?
Prabhuji, Krishna says that it is difficult to curb the restless mind. So he says that it is a difficult process.
Very good. Very good point. That if you read 6.35, 36, Krishna does not recommend the process of Ashtanga Yoga in chapter 6 also. Krishna says exactly what Patish Prabhu described, that yes, it is difficult to control the mind, but with Abhyas and Vairagya, it is possible. So in chapter 6, Krishna's response to Arjuna's 6.33-34 question, Krishna's response was, do Abhyas and do Vairagya, which is a generic response. Abhyas means practice and Vairagya means detachment. And this Vairagya and detachment and Abhyas practice can apply to any of the paths, not just to Ashtanga Yoga. Therefore, Krishna does not endorse Ashtanga Yoga. But here in 8.14, Krishna clearly endorses Bhakti Yoga. By doing this comparison with Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, from the verses from chapter 8, verse 9 onwards, we first discuss Ashtanga Yoga. Krishna is doing a comparison so that you can judge by yourself that Ashtanga Yoga is grueling, Bhakti Yoga is easier. And here Krishna is clearly endorsing Bhakti Yoga. Krishna says it is easy and provides the same destination that can be attained by Ashtanga Yoga, where Bhakti is added to Ashtanga Yoga. Well, why do you want to go through the grueling process of Ashtanga Yoga? In Kali Yuga anyway, is impossible to follow the Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga processes. Therefore, Krishna says in 8.14, Sulabha, Bhakti Yoga is easy. So the answer to Arjuna's question in 6.33 and 34, where Arjuna said that controlling the mind is difficult and Ashtanga Yoga seems impractical, the response comes here in 8.14 that Sulabha, very easy. Bhakti Yoga is very easy as compared to other paths. Questions, comments, realizations? Now, all of you try to answer. Is fixing mind on Krishna easy? Has any one of you able to fix mind on Krishna most of the time?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji.
No, it's not easy.
Not easy,
Mm,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Right? So,
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not.
right? So it's sometimes, it's not always, right? But we have to be always. So the answer is easier. Comparatively, Bhakti Yoga is easier. And therefore, because fixing mind on Krishna is difficult, therefore, towards the end of Bhakti Yoga section, means in chapter 12. So chapters 7 to 12 are Bhakti Yoga chapters. And in chapter 12, Krishna will give a descending ladder of devotion that will start from the highest level of remembering Krishna, and it will keep going down and down and down. Therefore, it's called a descending ladder of devotion. These verses are chapter 12, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11. In 12.8, Krishna says, offer mind and intelligence to Krishna entirely, and thereby you live with Krishna. So 12.8 is the highest level, is the level of pure devotion. If you cannot do 12.8, then in 12.9, Krishna says, if you cannot do 12.8, then practice sadhana bhakti to increase your desire for Krishna. If you cannot practice 12.9, means you cannot do sadhana, then 12.10 Krishna says, then work for Krishna. If you cannot do 12.10, then in 12.11 Krishna says, then give up all the fruits of work. So Krishna does not just stick with the highest level. He gives other levels also, that one can practice bhakti whichever works for you. Yes, bhakti, but bhakti can also be practiced various ways. So again, this descending ladder of devotion is a very heavy topic. You will be surprise, we'll be populating a chart for this 12.8, 9, 10, 11 verses, and you will all going to flip around. I have only briefly described here. So the key word that I'm looking for Bhakti Yoga, what's the key word? In comparison with Ashtanga Yoga and other paths, what's the key word?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Sulabha.
Sulabha.
Very good. Sulabha, easier. Easier. It's not easy. It's easier. Comparatively, Bhakti Yoga is easy. So no path of spirituality is easy, but comparatively, Bhakti Yoga is easier path. So fixing mind on Krishna as well as wanting to have constant remember of Krishna is not easy. No spiritual path is easy. Many of you already answered that no, it's not easy to remember Krishna. So comparatively, Bhakti Yoga is easier because mind gets positive engagement in devotional service. Ashtanga Yoga process is burdensome of trying to withdraw the mind from the negative. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Monarch Prabhu, 8.14, purport, paragraph 1 and 2, faster pace.
Hare Krishna 8.14 purport. This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned four different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentioned pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma, or hatha. As indicated by the word Ananya Cheta in pure Bhakti Yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek the oneness with the Brahma Jyoti or salvation or liberation from the material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Whereas a Gyan Yogi, Karma Yogi, or Hatha Yogi has his own selfish interests, a perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to attain. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations such as Ram and Narsimha, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of the other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, he is especially inclined toward those who always serve him without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways, as stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 1.2.23. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. Hare Krishna.
So more discussion directly from Prabhupada that Bhakti Yoga is easier. And Megha's question and Chandra's question, purport 8.14, first line, second paragraph says, pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Right? So you're engaging devotional service in his personal features. Megha, Chandar, rest of you, questions, comments, realizations?
She just a follow-up question, like how will we understand in one of his various personal features, means his stories or his explanation or his bhajan kirtan, like what exactly we can understand there?
So hearing is the process. So you hear Krishna Katha and you will understand Krishna more and more. Not possible to understand Krishna fully. You will just understand more and more. We have discussed this in 7.1 that hearing is the process and hearing is the path. That you hear exactly what we are doing right now, hearing Bhagavad Gita, and soon we will also have Srimad Bhagavatam starting. So this is the process, and you will get purified. Megha?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, when it comes to pure devotee, the pure devotee is the one who's purified or in the process to being purified.
Pure devotee is already purified.
So it means we are not there. I mean, I'm not there.
Yeah, so I am not there either. Don't beat yourself up. You are in the process. So you are better than materialistic people who are simply engaged in material tasks. So you are better than others.
So in the process of Bhakti Yoga, in this, when the devotee is in the process to attaining bhakti, beside the japa and listening Bhagavad Gita and other books, like how long it takes to be purified then?
So it depends on your endeavor. So it's not only doing japa and reading scriptures. You also have to do services. You can do services at a temple or your home temple, or you can do book distribution. So service is important. We'll cover this in Srimad Bhagavatam. Without service, it's not possible for you to get purified. If you don't do services, if you don't serve devotees, then your Krishna consciousness will continue to stay weak. So in terms of length, depends on your intensity. Somebody can get purified in 1 minute. Somebody can get purified in 100 years. Somebody can get purified in few lifetimes. Depends on your intensity.
Like the Prabhuji, you showed the Ajamil, like he was saying Narayana, and he was gone with Vishnu, and so is possible for us in this Kali Yuga?
So Ajamil did not go to spiritual world when this incident happened. So Ajamil's story is meant to specify that Ajamil did not call for Lord Narayan. Ajamil had named his son Narayan. He was calling his son. But the point being explained is that even if somebody calls Lord's name without knowing, if they can get saved by Vishnu Dutas, then obviously if somebody is chanting Lord's name or Hare Krishna Mahamantra consciously, well, obviously he will get saved. So what happened with Ajamil was that Ajamil got a second chance. So Ajamil was a devotee. He ended up leaving his spirituality because of his association with a prostitute, and he became sinful. So Ajamil was given a second chance that, okay, now you go back and purify yourself, and then he left his body and he attained perfection. So point from Ajamil's story is that if you chant Lord's name at the time of death, then you are going to attain Krishna, exactly what we discussed in 8.5. Chandar?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Tolerate extra some few minutes beyond 11:45 a.m. Toronto time so that I can finish the 8.17 chart that I gave you all. So we discussed all these points about Bhakti Yoga is easier. Now, how do you get impetus to fix mind on Krishna? And the answer is Krishna says, think of the results of fixing the mind on him compared to the results of letting the mind dwell on things other than Krishna. So 8.15 is a very famous verse, and since Raksha was so eager to read 8.15, let Raksha read 8.15 translation.
Hare Krishna. After attaining me, the great souls, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Hare
Right, so
Krishna.
8.15 is a very famous verse that this world is a place of misery and is a temporary world. Now, this is exactly opposite to what is shown in movies. In movies, they show, oh, and they lived happily ever after. That's not reality. In reality, material world is a place of misery. And this comparison will continue in rest of the verses. So 16 to 22 is section 5, where title is Remembrance of Supreme Lord by comparing material and spiritual worlds. So we are attracted to material world because we think material world is a place of enjoyment for us. But when we understand that material world is not a place of enjoyment, but a place of misery, then we turn to the spiritual world. Ritu 16 and 17 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Text 17 translation. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Hare Krishna.
So you all had this spiritual endeavor question. Many of you did attempt very nicely. And many of you did get many of the boxes right. And some of you said, I cannot complete all boxes. Doesn't matter. As long as you endeavor, Krishna is looking for your endeavor, not the results. So I had laid out this chart like a Sudoku. So I will run the slide and you will get the answers. That Satyug is 1.728 million years. Next is Treta Yuga is 1.296 million years. Then you, so box 1 is Treta Yuga, box 2 is 1.296 million years, box 3 is Dwarpa Yuga, box 4 length of Dwarpa Yuga is 864,000 years. Box 5 is Kal Yuga, length of Kal Yuga, box 6 is 432,000 years. And this is one cycle. So 4 yugas is one cycle, which adds up to 4.32 million years. And 12-hour day of Brahmaji has 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, which adds up to 4.32 billion years. And same length, so box number 8 was 12-hour day, and box number 9 is same as 12-hour night, is equal length of 4.32 billion years. And 1 day of Brahmaji, which is box number 10, is 1 day. 1 day of Brahmaji is total earth years is 8.64 billion years. And box number 11 is 1 year of Brahmaji. And Brahmaji has 360 days in 1 year. And if you calculate his life, Brahmaji lives for 100 years. If you do all this math, you will get Brahmaji's life equivalent to be on earth 311 trillion 40 billion earth years. So during the night time, which was 12-hour night is when pralaya happens, means destruction happens, which is partial annihilation. So every night of Brahmaji, the destruction happens, and then next day of Brahmaji, again creation starts again. So this cycle keeps running again and again and again. So if you follow archaeologists, they generally are able to dig back and find something back up to 4.32 billion years, because that's when the cycle starts again. I'm pretty sure at some point these archaeologists may find cell phones and satellites buried somewhere, because all these things are not new. They have just been discovered again, but everything has been existing from before, whether it be modern cell phones or satellites and whatnot. And at the end of 100-year life of Brahmaji is full annihilation, where the entire universe is annihilated. During partial annihilation, meaning the 12-hour night, every night of Brahmaji, only the topmost planet, the Satyaloka, remains. The rest, every planet in the universe is annihilated. The visual for all this is coming up in subsequent classes. And at the end of 100-year life of Brahmaji, everything, entire universe, including Satyaloka, also gets annihilated. Now, you also had this question that what is the significant point? Well, even the topmost planet in the universe, which is Brahmaloka, Brahma's abode or Satyaloka, that also is temporary. Yeah, if you look at Brahmaji's life, looks spectacularly long. Well, but it still is temporary. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that from the viewpoint of eternity, this Brahma's significant long life of 311 trillion 40 billion years is like a lightning flash. And Prabhupada says in the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles. So this is the impetus we need to get, that all this is temporary. We need to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, to spiritual world, for permanent bliss and go away from the miseries of the material world. Take a snapshot of what you have on the screen. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay, I'm going to give you very important spiritual endeavor questions in a minute. For chapter 9, it's likely we may not be able to start, but let me give you the homework anyway. You will populate the answers on the Google form. It's a mandatory spiritual endeavor. Somebody will repeat the question. Question number 1. What can nuclear bombs not destroy? I'm pretty sure many of you will have the answer that soul cannot be destroyed, but by now you should know that if it was that simple, I would not give you such a question. So my seemingly innocuous open-ended questions are meant to make you think. Yes, it's a correct answer that soul cannot be destroyed by nuclear bombs, but if it was that simple, I would have not given you this question. So question number 1 is, what can nuclear bombs not destroy? Question number 2 is, what is middle of Bhagavad Gita? So by end of day Wednesday, please populate your answers on the Google form. And please endeavor. As well as for chapter 9, I have on screen, take a legal size page and divide it 2/3 left side, 1/3 right side, and have 2 pages, and then on the back side you can again divide it, that 2/3 on the left side and 1/3 on the right side, as well as bring chapter 7 overview. Everybody crystal clear on what you need to do? Somebody wants to repeat?
Yes, Prabhuji. First question is, what can nuclear bombs not destroy? Second question is, what is middle of Bhagavad Gita? And where we have to prepare a template for chapter 9, and we have to bring chapter 7 overview.
Right. So chapter 9, as a template, I said that 2 sections you will write on 1 page, and then sections 3, 4, 5 on following page, and bring chapter 7, and you will understand the reason. Thank you all for tolerating for about 5 extra minutes. I will also post Prabhupada lecture. Please listen, please endeavor. Endeavor is important. We heard live from Janisha's personal example as well as from Prabhupada. So please endeavor. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.